Tsubasa is a bullied loner teenager who fights with his parents and comes to live with his evil witch-like grandma in a small town called Hokkaido. However, there, he becomes a stud and wins the hearts of 3 popular women, all being drastically different from one another. Minami, a loud, overly extroverted girl, Sayuri, a quiet, angry gamer girl, and Rina, a first position holding polite pageant beauty winner. It all starts when a boy named Shiki Tsubasa moves to Hokkaido from Tokyo. His father tells him to go to his new home first because he will be late for work. Being the sore loser, Tsubasa gets out of the taxi, not realizing that his destination is 3 hours away. His phone's battery is about to die, just like he would if he walks for 3 hours in the snow. He looks around and sees a girl named Minami. He stares at her legs like a pervert, and when she catches him staring, he quickly asks for directions. She informs him that he won't be able to find a taxi here and should wait for the bus. He reveals that he is from Tokyo, and Minami quickly clings to him like a leech, thinking he is very cool to be from a big city. She links arms with him, and Tsubasa feels her melons touching him. He quickly thanks the Lord that she doesn't know he was a bullied, pathetic loser in Tokyo. He tells her he will be joining a school, and it turns out to be the same school as hers. She gets excited and gets on the bus. While Tsubasa is mesmerized by her beauty, he misses the bus. The next day, he goes to class and is disappointed that Minami isn't in it. He tries to comfort himself by saying she isn't pretty, but she is late and rushes into the classroom. Later, during classes, she calls him by his first name and then gives him a blanket. It is very cold outside, and he imagines her between his legs, causing his hormones to go crazy. When he returns the blanket, she shamelessly sniffs it like a dog, saying she likes how their scents have merged. She asks him to walk her home and return and again links arms. They walk to the station, and Minami asks Tsubasa to visit her house tomorrow. His perverted brain goes in all the wrong directions and thinks they are moving to the third base too fast. As he shows up the next day, she tells him he's lucky her parents aren't home today. Tsubaki again panics but realizes she said so because of the floor heating in the living room.
さてさて翼、何しよっか。
She pours him juice and accidentally drops some on her mommy milkers, causing Tsubaki to turn red on the face. She comes out dressed in nice-looking pajamas, and they decide to watch a movie. Minami falls asleep during the movie, and when she wakes up, it's almost dark, so Tsubasa decides to leave. Feeling bad, she follows him out, and he gives her his scarf. She tells him they should go to the mart and grab food. The next day, Minami notices Tsubasa looking at a poster about a winter festival, and tells him that she will go with him because he insists. Tsubasa tells her he didn't even ask, but she is delusional. One night, during dinner, Minami informs her mother that she will attend the festival tomorrow. Her mother reminds her how she used to go to every festival in elementary school. The next day, as she meets Tsubasa, he nearly faints, seeing her jugs seem even bigger in fully covered clothes. They roam around the festival watching snow sculptures and eventually go to the food stands.
翼の目半開きなんだけど、ウケる。まあ。楽とりおい。
Tsubasa buys a corn dog, and Minami opens her mouth wide for Tsubasa to give her food. Impure, filthy thoughts strike Tsubasa, but Minami just takes a bite. He then thinks about how eating from the same spot will be an indirect kiss. He realizes he is a horny dog and decides not to think too much. They enjoy it and then sit for a coffee, where Tsubasa tells her that since he has lived his whole life in Tokyo, he enjoys the natural beauty of Japan. Minami feels glad that he enjoyed it and confesses that she was scared that he might be disappointed by the simplicity of it. She thanks him by saying she likes her small town even more because of him. Suddenly, she trips on her feet and like any other cliché hero, Tsubasa catches her by the waist. They both breathe heavily before quickly pulling away. They decide to go to Sapporo's winter festival soon. The next day, during lunch, Minami appears at his desk again like a clingy ghost and says she got noodles for him. He tells her he has a casual bento for lunch, but it has amazing side dishes. He reveals that he has never had cup noodles for lunch, and Minami quickly asks him if he is a rich, spoiled brat. He tells her they aren't rich, and she invites herself to his place to confirm. Because she sits down, exposing the goods, he has no choice but to agree. On their way, Minami finds a snow fort and pulls Tsubasa inside. Because the space is inappropriately tight, she asks him if it's his first time and if the inside is warm enough. Tsubasa's brain goes south, and he gets out of the fort to see his grandma standing outside, fully in shock because she heard the confusing conversation. Minami comes out and overexcitedly greets her, telling her how much she loves cooking. But the grandma remains hostile and tells Minami to go home because it has started snowing. She lies about Tsubasa having an important appointment. Tsubasa feels like Granny's lapdog and quietly follows her, thinking his good life in Hokkaido is over because he doesn't have the balls to stand up against his family. But Minami has a free service of giving unsolicited advice and quickly tells Granny not to use an umbrella because if she falls, her hands will be busy, which might cause her serious damage. She tells them that there is a crossroad that isn't safe to walk over, so she takes them to the house using a shortcut. She is shocked to see how big of a house Tsubasa has. Before she can leave, Granny stops her for tea. She thinks she must be going soft, as Minami's behavior still repulses her. But she walks into the room, sees them laughing, and trusts Tsubasa and his choice. A few days later, the school heads on a skiing trip, and Tsubasa is seated next to an otherworldly beauty, Sayuri. Minami tries talking to her, but she doesn't reply at all. At the skiing site, they divide into 3 groups based on skill level, and Tsubasa and Sayuri are the only ones in level C. Minami skis flawlessly over to them, and Tsubasa praises her skill. After she leaves, Sayuri exudes loser energy and expresses how Minami has everything while she has nothing. The teacher forgets about level C, and the two get a lunch break later than others. Because they are alone, Tsubasa heads to the cafeteria but forgets his chopsticks. As he heads back to the bus, he accidentally sees Sayuri wiping her sweat off without her shirt. He quickly apologizes and tries to leave, but she stops him saying he should eat in the bus as she will explain. As they eat, she tells him she sweats a lot, which embarrasses her, so she started skipping sports classes until she realized she was behind everyone. She lost confidence and eventually became a pathetic bottom-tier loner. She tells him that because he is a stranger, it's easier for her to talk about such personal things. She calls him a lonely geezer as he has no friends other than Minami, but he praises her looks and personality. He even asks her to teach games as she is so good at them. The break is over and they decide to take a chairlift to the top and ski down the mountain. Tsubasa tells her he has been challenging himself with new things since coming to Hokkaido. He tells her that Minami made her have this mentality, and now he doesn't give up on things before trying them. Once they reach the top, Tsubasa asks Sayuri to talk to Minami once, as she wants to be her friend. They ski, and Tsubasa stops without falling, but Sayuri doesn't know how to stop, and Minami quickly comes to her rescue. They both fall and laugh about having made a new friend. The next day, Tsubasa wonders if he can walk to school in such a heavy blizzard, but his grandma tells him to stop being a wuss. He tries walking but dramatically falls and decides to say goodbye to his life, thinking Minami is an angel from the afterlife popping in front of his eyes. But she saw him on the way and asked her mother to stop the car. She tells him to get inside, and even after thinking he has just returned from the dead, he begins to thirst over Minami's mother. But Minami's mother is even more outgoing and quickly starts shipping the two together. They reach the school, and Tsubasa and Sayuri bond over being sore from yesterday's exercise, and Minami feels left out. Tsubasa uses Hokkaido's dialect during lunch, and Minami feels very proud. However, Sayuri jumps in, saying many locals don't use the dialect. She explains that Minami is an exceptional citizen as she uses the dialect, is immune to colds, is very good at skiing, and is blessed in the chest, but most locals don't do these things anymore. Later, they head to the mall so Sayuri can teach them how to play games. They shop and enjoy their time together. Later at night, Minami sends a risky picture to Tsubasa to get a reaction from him, but he stays formal in text, so she video calls him while taking a bath. She laughs at his fully red face and almost drops her phone in the water. A few days later, they all head to the karaoke and realize that Minami is a great singer. Sayuri tells Tsubasa she has been to karaoke alone before and falls back into the pity party she throws for herself. But Minami quickly involves both of them and makes them sing. After that, they started talking about the upcoming Valentine's Day as Mayumi says she made 60 chocolates last time and distributed them to everyone. Tsubasa tells them he was a miserable piece of shit who only got chocolates from his family. Sayuri has a quiz she wants Tsubasa to take as it will determine the type of chocolates he likes, but she acts like a fool in love and doesn't ask him. A few days later, she tries to buy chocolates sneakily but finds Minami there, who quickly accompanies her to buy material to make chocolate. Before leaving, Sayuri asks Minami if she would give special chocolates to Tsubaki because they seem close, but Mayumi dodges the question. Later at night, Minami calls Sayuri after making 70 pieces of chocolate and guides her to make the chocolates. She asks Sayuri if she has any feelings for Tsubasa, and both girls act like simps when suddenly Minami spills soy sauce and condiments all over her chocolates, ruining them. She quickly cuts the call and distributes store-bought chocolates the next day. One of the class fellows complains about the chocolate not being homemade, and Sayuri threatens to gouge his eyes out if he talks to Minami in such a manner again. After the classes, Sayuri overhears Minami crying like a pathetic baby to Tsubasa, telling him about the chocolate disaster. He comforts her by playing the piano, and Sayuri comes in to give her the chocolates she made. Minami thinks they are for Tsubasa and quickly tries to rush out, but Sayuri stops her, saying the chocolates are for her. She also hands some to Tsubasa, and they all enjoy them together. The teacher announces that finals are next week and everyone must study hard. Minami is already tired before the exams start, but Tsubasa motivates her. She asks him to do a group study at her house, and they invite Sayuri. They spend the entire evening studying. Tsubasa looks at the clock and is shocked to see it is past his curfew. He quickly tries to rush outside the house but falls onto Minami's mother's melons and sniffs it like a pervert. She drives him home and thanks him for comforting Minami on Valentine's Day. His granny stands like a grim reaper, ready to take his soul away when he reaches home. The next day, as he throws trash, he sees a beautiful woman and tells Minami about it. Minami tells him she must be Rina, who won the beauty pageant and is famous for her looks. Tsubasa heads to the library at lunchtime to study, but he hears someone snoring. He realizes it is Rina, who quickly apologizes for falling asleep in the library when she wakes up. She then tells Tsubasa to study hard and leaves. Once Tsubasa reaches home, he finds his grandmother sitting sternly there. She tells him that because he is at such an age, she has made tea that will help him keep his sausage in his pants. But suddenly, the doorbell rings, and Rina is here to bring the neighborhood bulletin. Seeing Tsubasa in Japanese clothes for the tea ceremony, she quickly clings to him. Grandma comes onto the scene, and Rina quickly moves away. She tells Tsubasa that he must score in the top 10 of the school during finals, or she will send him back to Tokyo. The next day, as he walks to school, he realizes that because he has made friends, he has been distracted and decides to study hard. On his way, Rina stops him and asks why he looks so gloomy. He explains his situation, and she tells him that she has been the #1 in school forever so that she can teach him in the library storage room for the next 3 days. But he still starts thinking with his whiner about how he will be alone in the cramped room with a girl. After classes, he again gets hazy brain thinking about Rina's legs but quickly stops himself. He spends the entire day studying, and she tells him she wants to go on a date once the exams are over.
もし四季君が目指している順位に入れたら、私とデートしてください。
The exams are finally here, and everyone is doing their best. After the math exam, Minami notices Tsubasa walking towards the library. He tries to catch up with him but doesn't see him. She asks him about it in the next exam, and he tells her she must have seen someone else. He feels guilty about keeping secrets but doesn't think much about it. Next week the results come out. Sayuri ranks 72 out of 176, Minami ranks 148 like the dumb bitch she is, and Tsubasa scored 3rd like the nerdy geek he is. Rina tells him she ranked 1st in her class, and he is shell-shocked. On Saturday, they go on the promised date, and both dress in traditional Japanese dresses. Minami's mother, being equally nosy as her daughter, catches them walking together and quickly texts Minami about it.
四季君と一緒にお出かけできるなら、どこでも嬉しいです。
そうですか。
Minami quickly calls Sayuri to the mall despite Sayuri complaining that she hates feeling rushed. Minami quickly tells her to look at the other aisle, and she notices Tsubasa has a date there. Sayuri is shocked that Minami only noticed her beauty when she can't take her mind off the fact that Tsubasa is on a date. They follow them as Tsubasa tries to win a plushie for Rina. Seeing that Tsubasa is a loser who is miserably bad at playing a simple game, he eventually wins a small keyring for her, just the size of his wiener, and Rina promises to care for it forever. Minami thinks of how kind he is and tells Sayuri she wishes to be as kind and genuine as he is. But Sayuri isn't listening to them as she is busy winning one plushie after another from the claw machine. She gives Minami half her winnings, and they follow the couple to the movie theater. Because the movie is about a woman trying to build her career and the problems she faces, Rina relates to it and starts crying. She explained that she wasn't normally a pathetic crybaby but couldn't stop her tears because the movie felt like her life story. She explained that she studies well and remains well behaved, but she gets very little praise even then. She acts like an attention seeker, but Tsubasa agrees with her and explains that the situation was the same with him and his family, so he ran away from his parents and came to live with his grandma in Hokkaido. Rina feels fully understood and is glad she met Tsubasa. She asks him if he gets lonely in Hokkaido, not knowing he was a friendless loner in Tokyo. But he tells her he has made some great friends here who he appreciates. Minami quickly blows their cover and says they all should hang out together. Minami quickly extends her hand forward and tells Rina she is a huge fan. She tells Rina she is ready to do everything she would instruct her, and Sayuri tells Mayumi to take it easy. Minami's mother unexpectedly shows up on the scene and tells the kids that she got a bonus from work and wants to treat them all to meet. After dinner, Minami corners Tsubasa and starts her flirtatious attitude, asking him to spend a night with her. He reacts like a rat who has never seen cheese, and she tells him she just wanted to see that reaction. She tells him that the two of them should go on a date before the break ends, and they all walk home. Sayuri is standing near the lockers when Minami reaches school. She cheerfully asks Sayuri if she is excited about White Day. She quickly interviews Tsubasa and asks him about their gifts like a shameless gold digger. Surprisingly, he is calm, and he explains he was planning to give them gifts anyway. Tsubasa walks to class but is stopped by another classmate named Matsuo. He asks Tsubasa to help him with the White Day gift because he feels bad demanding Minami for homemade chocolate because he was unaware of the accident. Tsubasa tells him to apologize genuinely, as they both are kind-hearted and will forgive him. Later at night, with the help of his not-so-evil grandma, Tsubasa makes rice crackers for the girls. The next morning, they give each other gifts and decide to become friends. Matsuo texts Tsubasa to ask if he wants to go fishing with his father, and he agrees. They head to Lake Omoshiroi, and surprisingly, Minami is also there with her family. As usual, she invites herself, and they head to another spot. Matsuo digs the hole and places the bait on their rods, doing all the daddy duties. Despite waiting for an hour, they don't catch any fish, and Matsuo goes to check up on his father. Minami doesn't waste a single second before acting like an animal in heat and telling Tsubasa his lips are really dry. She takes out her chapstick, but instead of putting it on him, she almost kisses him, but Matsuo comes back. He tells them that his father has caught a lot of smelt, so they change spots and catch fish. They fry it and enjoy the meal a lot. However, because of being out in the cold for so long and being the weak womanizer he is, Tsubasa catches a cold. It's really bad, but everyone checks up on him. His granny goes out to buy groceries, and Minami comes to see if he is doing any better, but he finds the fact that she is in his room too stimulating. Mayumi then puts her forehead against his, and he starts going crazy because of his dirty thoughts. She tells him she feels guilty for pushing him to fish more and more, so she is ready to do anything for him. And he starts drooling at the idea of Minami doing anything he wants. But he just tells her to stay by his side and falls asleep. When he wakes up, he feels fully better and texts Minami to thank her. She, on the other hand, wishes they could hold hands forever. 2 months have passed, and spring has made its way. However, spring is still cold in Hokkaido, as the roadsides still have snow on them. Tsubasa steps out of his house and is met by Minami, who again pushes her weapons of distraction against him. She tells him that she wishes she had spent more time with him during her break just to see his face turn red. She explains that spring is very short-lived in Hokkaido, and Tsubasa expresses distress as his favorite season is spring. Being a chatterbox, Minami starts explaining why winter is her favorite season without anyone asking her. Minami suddenly gets sad thinking that they might not be in the same class this year because there is a rumor that their school places high-ranking students in one class and low-ranking ones in another. She explains that if that happens, they might not see each other much, and it will make her really sad. However, being the loser Tsubasa is, he tells her that he will visit her and only think about her. However, because this is a cliché anime, they all get in the same class, and Minami looks at them affectionately. In their first class, Matsuo recommends Tsubasa for the president's seat, and Minami volunteers for the vice president's seat. Later at night, she calls Tsubasa to play games with him, and he tells her that he saved money by buying a gaming console. She asks him if he is a doormat because he never says no to people, but he tells her he doesn't want to miss out on the fun without trying different things. She shows him her luxurious house in the game and then goes to his shabby poor house. She decides to help him get material and eventually tells him that she feels like she doesn't fit in. He tells her that she has changed for the better and has become more extroverted. She feels relieved, and they both focus on the game. The next day, because of work, the president and the vice president both have to stay behind till late. Tsubasa expresses discomfort once it starts getting dark, and Minami makes fun of him for being a scared little wuss. Tsubasa thanks her for volunteering for the vice president post, and Minami, the unfiltered cringe queen, tells him she wants to spend as much time as possible with him. On their way back, she tells him that in the upcoming week, she wants him to keep a day for her as she has something serious to confess. The day arrives, and Minami spends a lot of time getting ready. While waiting at the station, Tsubasa wonders if Minami will make a love confession, but he quickly shakes his head like a dog who got out of the water, causing all those around him to get away from the freak. She reaches the station and tells him their train ride will be 3 hours. He looks at the landscapes while she takes a nap. When she wakes up, Tsubasa accidentally says "so pretty" out loud and then becomes a wimp, feeling embarrassed. They get off the bus and rent bicycles, eat, and shop a little before taking the bus to their original destination. When they reach, she covers his eyes, and in turn, her tatas touch his back, causing his senses to go haywire. When he opens his eyes, he is in a cherry blossom heaven. He tears up like a girl and tells Minami these are the most beautiful cherry blossoms he has ever seen.
最高だよ冬木さん。こんなに綺麗な桜初めて見た。
She tells him there is a shrine that's famous among women as it grants fertility, and tells him bluntly that they can come here years later when she is pregnant with his baby. However, Tsubasa still acts like a brain-dead fool who needs to get beaten up, as he thinks she is joking. As the sun sets, she tells him she has set a picture of the two of them together as her profile picture, and Tsubasa again freaks out because he is a coward and thinks Minami is playing tricks on him. He then gives her the bracelet he bought and puts it on her. She tells him that she sometimes wonders what people think when they see them together, and Tsubasa says they must think they are good friends. This disappoints Minami, and he feels like a chicken for not telling her his true feelings. He is about to confess when she tells him that she is going abroad to study next week. She tells him that he motivated her to think about life a little seriously, and he quickly hugs her and starts crying like a wuss again.
翼も今日は楽しんでくれ。
They decide to head back but are remarkably dumb, as the last bus has already gone. Tsubasa calls his father, and instead of coming to pick them up, he tells him to stay at a hotel, thinking he is with a guy friend or maybe he wants Tsubasa to hit that. They eat a luxurious meal thanks to his father, and then Minami goes to shower. Tsubasa imagines her in a towel before telling himself to calm down and watch some TV. When she gets out of the shower, Tsubasa has gone to sleep, and she sits next to his bed, staring at him creepily before writing a letter and leaving. Since then, Tsubasa hasn't seen her, and she calls Sayuri to a coffee shop to tell her about the news. She tells her that she, too, wants to pursue her passion and be happy. She heads directly to the airport, and Sayuri texts Tsubasa to go and say his final goodbye. Being the most cowardly hero, Tsubasa is scared but finds one of her hairpins in his bag and uses that as an excuse to see her. He begs his father, and he takes him to the airport. He finally reaches her and tells her that he is glad he got to meet her. He loved every moment they spent together, and he doesn't know if she will be back in a year or more, but he will wait for her. But she tells him she is only going for 2 weeks, and he falls on his knees because he looks stupid. She tells him to relax as she has never been out of town, so 2 weeks is still a long time for her. They say their goodbyes and leave.
いってらっしゃい。
うん、行ってきます。
2 weeks later, Tsubasa waits in class, and Minami, as usual, comes in late, making everyone greet her happily. He gives her the chicken from the mart that she likes the most, and she squeals excitedly.
ただいま翼。
おかえり冬木さん。